All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brian McLogan, and this is week number 100 on Open Live Q&A. And in this week, I'm going to take your questions. A lot of questions came over from last week, as if you missed the live stream, we crossed, I say we, as because I kind of include everybody that has joined me on this journey. I know a lot of you have, been benefited from videos way back in the day one. Some people will still check in from time to time and might have helped them years and years ago. But yes, we crossed the 1 million subscriber marks, which was very cool. And I actually did it during this live stream, and it was very cool. I was very happy to be able to meet. I was wondering if I was gonna do it on the Sunday night stream. I was kind of nervous because there was a lot of subscribers and work that had to go right into there. But yeah, so we got to there, and then I was like, a typical stream, I'm like, well, if I have to go like all night, I might as well get some questions. So I asked for a question after, for people to submit questions. And of course, there was more people on that stream than usual. So I got a lot of questions, and I didn't get time to do any of them. So that's what I'm going to do in this live stream. But I did kind of title it a little bit different, a little bit odd, wondering like, hey, how have I changed, have anything done? And the quick and easy answer is nothing. I still want to do my live streams. I still want to do those completely free, show up for you guys. Like I said, this is 100 weeks in a row that I have gone live on my channel. And that is something that I want to continue doing. And I actually want to even do more of that. And I think it's really fun to get in with you guys on the channel and help you guys out with whatever you're doing. So take a look at, or be looking on my channel for especially this upcoming couple weeks. I know a lot of you are going to be taking your kind of midterms and getting ready for the exams before winter break. So I definitely want to do some extra streams to help you guys out with that. So that is it for at least the intro, and I'll definitely just kind of get into whatever questions we have. I think I have about 20 questions that were pre-submitted either last week or they got pre-submitted for this week. So I just wanted to remind you guys, though, if I do not get to your question, or if you do have a question in the chat, you can always pop it in the chat. But since I'll be doing a lot of work on here, probably the best thing to do is to go ahead and submit it into brianmclogan.com/Q&A. Oh my God, I forgot to put that into the chat. I cannot believe I did that. And in addition to the Brian McLogan /Q&A, you can also go ahead and put it, you can also go to my Discord server and submit questions over there, because if I'm not going to be able to get to everybody's question, which is impossible to be able to answer everybody's question, then the Discord server is a great way. Just always remember on the Discord, guys, I always treat it as a give and a take, right? If somebody's helping you with their questions, somebody's helping you with your questions, then help somebody out with theirs. And that's really how that community is going to grow. And I think it's a awesome way so far for people to benefit and getting some math help. All right, let me just go ahead and pin that real quick because I totally forgot to do that. Crazy. All right. And well, hey, El Hombre, and what's up, 365, F. Aban, and Makai, OCG, what other teachers from your school thought about you and your YouTube? Good question. A lot of them just thought it was kind of some kind of cool thing I was doing. It was nothing really kind of crazy. They would have their, students sometimes watch me and stuff like that. But, it was just a kind of a little hobby, I guess, on my side throwing there. Well, hey, Hannah, how are you? Good to have you. Thank you. And Liam Place. Thank you so much, Liam. And thank you so much. I appreciate that. Serenity. Well, hello. And I'm getting back in. Sorry, guys. I got to get caught up from you guys. Jay Bizzle, definitely want to go ahead and submit anything. I'm probably not going to be able to do the word problem, but if you want to submit it into the Brian McLogan Q&A, I'll maybe go ahead and take a look at it. Or not maybe go. I might be able to do it, add onto the stream. A lot of times with the word problems, it just kind of gets a little difficult doing those on the live streams. And hello, Christy. Hope you are doing well. Ryan, reach out. You can DM me, or you can reach out to one of the moderators. But if you're banned, there might be a good reason for it. So I am not specifically aware, though. But feel free to reach out to me from there. Because, yeah, I definitely want to make sure you can get access if you need it. But, it could always be a mistake. And what's up? Well, awesome. So happy to be able to help you out with that. And thank you so much, Alexis. I appreciate it. Uh-oh. Oh, Chrissy got a big mistake. I guess I'll have to show it up. So I made a big mistake on my exam too and cheated. I got caught, but luckily not in trouble. All right. Well, I will tell you this to everyone. It's not worth cheating. Yes, that is very much true. And I'll tell you what. So typically when a student would cheat in my class, I typically wouldn't throw the book at them for the first offense, but I would tell them that I lost the trust for them. And then from then on, for the rest of the year, I would always make them move seats and sit right in front of me. And that seemed to be really mostly punishment for the end. For most students, it was kind of like, that was it. It was kind of like a scarlet letter, and they basically never, ever wanted to do it again. Or at least I can't speak for them, but it seemed like it was kind of like our little, hey, I could, get you, I could get you really much in trouble, and I didn't want to, a lot of times we just make these mistakes, in a rush of judgment or with stress and everything like that. But so I would, that's usually what I did. And, usually I don't believe I ever had repeat offenders and never had to go, do a second leg. And then usually also that would, once students knew that I would catch cheating and I at least would act on it, then most students would not continue to cheat after that. Right. But it was always that beginning of the year, everybody was always testing to see what I was going to do, if I would catch people. And if I did catch them, what would I do? And, so just the thing, but yes, I do appreciate your honesty with that. And it's always worthy because everybody wants to, every year is stressful. Every year has different decisions and things that are going on. And sometimes we slip up and sometimes we make mistakes, but I'm glad you I'm glad you were able to acknowledge that. Matt Pinto, I do miss the classroom. I really do. I don't miss sometimes not having to wake up in the morning and rush to school, with 3 kids in the morning. A lot of times my mornings are pretty crazy. And so and then sometimes maybe tonight, if I wasn't prepared for tomorrow, I'd have to go and rush and get my lesson plans and stay up late and do some things. And so just having those type of things because the tough thing about teaching is you always have to show up, right? You're always showing up for the students. And, sometimes you're prepared, sometimes you're not. Sometimes you have a good weekend. Sometimes you don't have a good weekend. Sometimes, life, sometimes you don't feel well, but you still are always wanting to show up. And so that just constant, I think, not stress, but that constant ability to feel like you have to be there always in top of your game, was, just drags on you, I think, as a teacher. And that's why we always appreciate the, the breaks that we get. Yes, I am answering questions. I have 22 questions. And I think, sir, I got some of your questions. I don't remember which one you sent over, but I do have a whole bunch, from there. And Nathaniel, you are very welcome. So happy to help you out. And my guy, yeah, division and subtraction, those kind of, those two operations, usually what will get people tricked up. If it's just with numbers, polynomials, anything, that can be done. Oh, well, I am sorry to say that, Jay Bizzle. I am not teaching specifically STEM classes now. I mean, right now I'm trying to go through my curriculum and kind of recreate a lot of videos that I've previously had for you on that. Have you also trained for math competitions? No, I have not actually done. I used to do mu alpha theta in our school, but and we did some kind of. We had some students do some competitions, but I was never. That wasn't a big part of my curriculum, or at least kind of like the after school. We'd only lasted I think 2 years from there, and then just kind of fizzled from on that. I do not remember which questions I got. I got a lot of questions. Some questions were kind of incomplete. Some questions I didn't. I needed some time to review, which like I said, guys, if it's something I can't read and initially know how I'm going to pretend, I just don't have time. I usually get into my room to do these live streams about 30 minutes prior to live stream. So I try to get down the problems as quickly as possible. So I don't have a lot of time to refresh my memory. So even if it's a formula or whatever else I don't remember, I just have to skip over it. That's unfortunate, just the way it is. Well, yes, pre-calculus is awesome, Christy. All right, I'll answer a couple more of your questions. Then I got to get to some of this math here. When it comes to math anxiety, I always find, why am I moving this? I'll put it over here. When it comes to math anxiety, I always find this channel. I always teach my classmates. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Christy. When it comes to math anxiety, I always find this channel. I always teach my classmates on what I have learned, and it is better than copying my assignment. Good. Yes. Thank you, Levi. Yes, I will. I'll look into it. I have my silver play button. It's in my off. It's in my silver play is just in my closet right there. All right. Peace out. Liam plays. Choo-choo, thank you for helping out. You're very welcome. You should put, all right, everybody wants my, yes, Ask RN, this is live. I guess everybody wants my play button. I guess I'll put it on there. The plan side, or the bright side, I plan on retaking my math class over again next semester, but I think I'm only going to take one class and focusing on math, so I can better understand. Yes, I do agree. That is what the only class that I had to drop when I was in college was physics, and it was because I was taking like 2 or 3 math classes plus the physics, and it was just overwhelming for me. It was just too much for me to do. So what I did was when I retook physics, I retook it when I only had like one other math class, and it just allowed me to really focus in on the curriculum that they have. So, your courses can be demanding, and, you really, sometimes you know that before you sign up, sometimes you don't, and so I think it's just really kind of understanding what you're, like for me, when math didn't always come easy to me, I needed to have extra time where I could do more studying. I needed to put in more work into my math than other people. So I knew that I had a limit with how many math classes I could do, right? So if you're like a math genius, you can probably take like 4, 5, 6 math classes, right? But if you kind of struggle with math, it takes you, like for instance, an English class. It takes me hours to write an English like paper. So I probably could not take more than one English class. That would like destroy me, right? So one of those would be tops, And a math, I'm not amazing at math, but like I could handle like 2 to 3 classes. I think the max I took was 3. But yeah, so you just got to kind of know your ability and your range, and like it's okay if it's, whatever they like, just be honest with yourself. And yeah, if you already feel like that was too much, was taking, a semester with more harder classes, then just focus on the math class so you can really get it done. Circle, yes, I usually don't chew just challenges, but I think I lipped it into that because I'm going to add it to my TikTok, which for any of you guys are not following my TikTok, you can have some more questions there. Michael, you're like a religious freak. Well, you know what you should do? You should email me and we should get on a live stream with your class. That'd be very cool. So you can DM me on Instagram or Discord. We'll get that set up. That'd be cool. Why do some teachers give me attention to, good question. Why do some teachers give attention to some students than other? Well, I think there's the kind of the human interaction, right? And again, I'm not saying this is right. I'm just saying I think this is what natural, like teachers need to understand their, like that bias and how they can be. Like, obviously when you have students that are just always some students are going to draw more attention than others, right? The more talkative students, maybe the more outgoing students, those are always going to be students that are always going to draw more attention to themselves than the quiet kid, right? That just like sits in the back and doesn't want to draw attention to themselves. So teachers, I think, have to acknowledge and understand that obviously we want to make sure we interacting with every single student equally. But in the same respect, you can kind of see how some students are going to command or also just try to get more of your attention. And then, and then I also think that there's the ability, there's the natural, sometimes the bias, like where also when you feel like students understand something or don't understand something, and sometimes going in those directions where, if you're looking for certain answers, or, trying to avoid making maybe a student, saying an answer out loud or whatever may be the case, like to embarrass, there's a lot of different things that kind of go into some, what you're saying. It's, like I said, it's a blanket statement. So I'm not really sure even at a finite point, but I think to answer your question on a broad base of Ben again is, there's a lot of bias that can come in with the teacher. And I think it's really important that teachers are always trying to understand and seeing that within their classroom, to make sure that they are providing, every student is the best education, equally. Cause I have it, same thing. I mean, I know there's been students I've called on way more times than I've called on other students, right? There's students that are always like interrupting me, talking to me, want to have fun, and there's students that maybe will be rude or, like don't care. They don't want to be in my class. And they get a different interaction. Right. And so it's you can't, as a teacher, you don't want to take things personally. You got to, every day, I always say when students walk into my classroom, it's a brand new day, right? So I don't carry anything over from one day to the next. But again, we're all human. So we gotta learn from that as well. So I do miss my classes. My favorite math subject, I would say pre-calculus, like over that I've taught, and then graph theory, what I have taken. You're very welcome. All right, guys, I'm going to get into just 4 more minutes for some random questions. Then we're getting into some math. I have not taught any math classes, but yeah. You are very welcome. Should you put 1 million? Yes. All right. Everybody wants an award back in there. Okay. It's my life. That. Okay. Oh, you're giving me so much more. Well, good. Well, I'm glad for that. I'm taking Algebra 1. Yeah, I mean, just practice going through the functions and everything like that. That's the best you can really, I just start with the most basic ones and then kind of go from there. That's the best I can say. Thank you, Dylan. Yes, I will make sure that I'll make sure I put it in the back. I got 2 of them now, so I can, I got my silver and my gold. We'll see where they fit. The equivalent could be, I think it really just depends on, I think it's a great noble thing for people to really understand a lot of the context. I didn't know a lot of the history of mathematics until, I got into college. And, I think now we've been so super focused on testing and assessing students that all that kind of good stuff that gets interesting got thrown out by the wayside. And so, yeah, it's an interesting question because I think we're it's time to kind of reset how we're educating and what we're teaching students. So it's a good point. Yes, basically from high school, I wanted to be a high school teacher. And Habadorn, good morning. All right, I got to go through. I don't know. It depends on what you want to do. But yeah, I think calculus is a great subject if you take a math course, if you go into math field or not. Obviously, if you're not you got to have fundamentals in mathematics to be successful in calculus. It's not like it's a extremely difficult topic, but you got to have the fundamentals from there. But I think it's a great calculus to really kind of start to explore a lot more of the application of mathematics. Okay. What are your thoughts about students having no choice but to cheat to get a B+ or above? Otherwise, they surely get heavily pushed by their parents if they get B or lower. Yeah, I think that's, I think one thing I've always been a big proponent of is, doing the best you can do and being okay with a B, being okay with a C. I really don't think it's serving us well when we have our students and parents are so stressed out about A's, only A's, right? You can only do so much. You can't get A's in, you can't be the best. And again, you can get A's in everything, but you can't be the absolute best in everything, right? So you got to focus on those certain things that you are good at, that you enjoy, and then focus on that, right? And if everything else you can just C out or B out, that should be fine. That should be acceptable. And in majority of things, in just in general in life, right? But I think we're so hyper focused on being perfect in everything. I think it's having a real negative impact. Now, again, I do understand the scholarships and for college and there's a lot of money at stake. And so I think that's some of the fault of the higher education and grants that we've kind of thrown in front of students, feeling like they have to be best at everything. But as you can kind of see, some of those institutions are struggling now with, how we push students so much. And then now with COVID and everything else, people are kind of rethinking what the purpose of them going to university, what they really need to have a great education. So some of that might be kind of coming back. So it'll be kind of easy to see. But in my opinion, I don't think everybody has to be perfect in everything, right? And I really want you to focus on what you're good at, what you enjoy. And, that should be getting the most of your attention, and anything around that or that's supporting that. And then other things that don't really matter, you just can't not care about them. We want you to be well-rounded, but if that's a B or a C, good, go with it. I think that should be acceptable in our society, more or less, right? I mean, not just a broad general, that should be acceptable. Thank you very much. All right. Okay, I got to move on. I got a lot of questions. Go there. Nathan Reslav. Oh, I remember Nathan. First, yeah, 6 period. I even remember your period. I obviously don't remember the period, but that's good. I love you as teacher, and I saw you pick on Discord. That's pretty inappropriate. What? I saw that pick on the Discord. Uh-oh. Well, I didn't see that picture on the Discord, so maybe I'll have to go back. And usually my moderators are pretty good about deleting all things on the Discord, so. Although, there was that one where the 2 girls are kissing my cheek. I don't know if that one's it. Yes, take my course. No, I'm just joking. You don't have to take my course. Yeah, you got to get to the practice going through. Okay, guys, I am talking way too much. I got to get going. No, I have not talked to college. Ms. McLogan, you can go and submit it into there. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your joining and your support. I greatly appreciate it. Favorite convex action? The ellipse. I just like the ellipse. Yes, you should. Yes, I can understand. I won't be taking calculus as a pain. That's going to go. Yeah, I understand. Fair enough. I'm back, and I remembered I was banned from your server because your mods were racist and based against me. Can you help me fix this? Well, I'm not sure why they're racist. I don't know if we know any of that demographic information, but again, if you want to supply the information, I'm more than happy to go ahead and take a look at the situation. All right. Okay. All right. Just finished last math class, although it was coding. Awesome. All right. Well, cool. Well, thank you so much. All right, guys, I got to do some math, and it looks like, Chrissy, you have been busily working. So I am going to turn the chat over to subscribers only. Thank you. I mean, I feel everybody should be subscribed anyways, but hopefully that will at least, oh, it already is subscribers. Crap. Oh, well. All right. I could turn to members, but no. All right, we'll do that. All right. Well, guys, please be nice on there. And then, yes, we don't need anybody spamming from there. All right. Yeah, I think this is like the $1 million question, right? I think it just comes into with exposure, just noticing things, recognize, like, you got to see things over and over again, right? So I'll take as much credit as you want to give me. Thank you. I appreciate it. But in reality, I know it's not just me. I know that that's like, if your teacher teaches something, then I teach it, and you see it 2 different ways, and maybe I say it maybe a little bit differently than your teacher, or whatever may be the case. But again, the fact that you're seeing it twice is that's giving your brain more of that material to really make the connections. And that's what learning is. It's about making connections, right? From what you don't know to what you do know. To what you do know to what something's new, right? Or making connection from what you do know to something that's new that you don't know. So the more times you see it, the more opportunity that's going to happen. All right. So let's go here to question number 1. Well, awesome, Grace. I'm so happy to help you out. And no, don't do drugs. I don't do official tutoring, but I might have something coming up. Thank you so much, Thomas. All right. Oh, God, you guys keep on coming through a question. All right, I got to get to the math, guys, so I'm going to knock out the questions. Again, before I get to these questions, I think I posted in the chat, right? Let me go and double check. Yes, it is posted. So again, guys, if you do have questions that you want to ask, every Sunday night I do go live. So you guys can go and post those questions at bradmclogan.com/Q&A. Or you can go to my Discord server and post questions in there. The only thing I ask on the Discord server, guys, the best way for the Discord to make it a meaningful server, or make it meaningful for you, is that when you get help on a question, help somebody out with their questions, right? That's just the bottom line. Like, if you're taking calculus, help somebody out with algebra 1, right? If you're taking geometry, get questions helping on geometry, help somebody out on pre-algebra, whatever may be the case. But there's a ton of questions out there, and I think it's a great resource for people to be able to have throughout the year, right? Because I'm always here to, Sunday night, 9 p.m., but I can only do so many questions. All right, let's see how many questions I can get through. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I am going to now go through the mathematics on this. All right. And what I mean by that is If you have a question that you want me to chat, don't throw it into the chat. Like obviously you can, ask me and everything else that you have in that case, but once I'm done with these questions, we'll see how much time I have left, and then I'll answer any additional questions I have in from there. Yes, know your square numbers. Know your square numbers. And you are very welcome, Jenna. Yes, submit them to brianmclogan.com/Q&A. It's in the, I blessed in the chat too as well. I do not know. Talk to your counselor, maybe your teacher, maybe your math teacher. That's what it is. Yes, and there are already tutors that are designated on the Discord, so that's awesome. But also it's beneficial for other students. I think you can learn by asking people questions, right? Like I'm going to help you out, whoever posted questions here. But if you can also help explain the math to other students, that really helps you guys out from there. Yeah, there's people there in the Discord. Hop on. All right, here we go. National hero. Well, I love that. That's awesome. You guys have so many good questions. Keeps on coming in. How to get more motivated in math. I feel like I should just make a good video on that. But yeah, motivated math. I think just take things step by step. Take them slow, step by step. Do math every day. I think the more math you see, the more math you're going to explain, or the more math is going to be enjoyable. Cube root 8 is 2. Okay, let's get on. So the first problem is problem from a textbook. All right. So you have a polynomial and we have a 0. So the important thing, guys, if that's a 0, right, then you can set it equal to 0. And set it equal to x, right? That is your 0. Sorry, not set it equal to 0. Sorry. Set it equal to x. Okay. Then if we want to set it as a 0, what we can do is just subtract them. So that is a solution. So we have negative square root of 3i equals x minus 1, right? And then we could add a square root of 3i plus a square root of 3i. Okay, so we have 0 equals, put it in parentheses, a x minus 1 plus a square root of 3i. Okay, now, if this is a 0, that also means that 1 plus the square root of 3i is a 0, okay? That's because we have our conjugates here. So if you were to use your inverse operations here, we could also say there are going to be two factors. Now, you could use synthetic division with the 0. Once you have a 0, you could go ahead and use synthetic division. I would not recommend doing that. What I would recommend doing is this is going to be my 0, right? So if this is my 0, well, this is going to be my factor. Okay, now if you use your two inverse operations again, you could also say that 0 equals a x minus 1, and then it'd be minus the square root of 3i. This would also be a factor. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is if I have these two factors, if I multiply them, that's also going to produce a factor of this polynomial, right? Think of like 2 and 3 are factors of 12, and 2 times 3 is 6, which is also a factor of 12. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply a x, minus 1 plus a square root of 3i times a x minus 1 minus a square root of 3i. Now, for the sake of time, I am actually going to do a little trick here. I'm going to group the x minus 1s, and then I'm just going to use a difference of two squares. Okay, So now what you notice, I don't know why I was showing that. What you notice here is I have the reason why I said I'm going to use difference of two squares because I have an x minus 1 times an x minus 1. And then a square root of 3i times a square root of 3i, but one's plus, one's minus. So this is really like a plus b times a minus b, right? Same kind of format. So therefore, we can just rewrite that as a x minus 1 quantity squared. And then this is going to be minus, let's see what we get here. So square root of 3 times square root of 3 is 3, right? And negative 3, I'm sorry, negative 3i squared. Well, we know I squared is negative 1, right? So that's going to be plus 3. So we can rewrite this as what? A x squared minus 2x plus 1, if I were to expand that. And then this would be a plus 3, right? Yep. So then I can rewrite this now as a x squared minus 2x plus 4. Okay. Now, so that is my additional factor. Now, what I can do now is use long division. Let's bring that down, actually. Now, let's go ahead and use long division here to go ahead and find, I don't even remember what I don't even know what the question was. I'm assuming like find the other zeros. Now let's use long division. So good question. 3x cubed minus 4x squared plus 8x plus 8. Although I do remember teaching this, and I just have students that would literally like, I'm done. Like, this is too much. Let's go through long division, though. X squared goes into 3x squared. That's going to be a 3x times. And then remember, you multiply this times every single term. So 3x times 3x squared is a 3x cubed. All right. Guys, some people, I just cannot go through this. Christy, if you need to, what the heck? Christy, you need to put people in timeout. Feel free to go ahead and do that. There you go. So you can delete them or just put them in timeout. That's perfectly fine with me. All right. So then we have 3x times negative 2x. That's going to be a negative 6x squared. And 3x times 4 is going to be a positive 12x. Okay, now let's go ahead and subtract the rows. And therefore, that's going to be a positive, right? So that'd be a 2x squared. And then, so minus a negative, right? It's a negative 4x squared minus a negative 6x. So it's a positive 6x squared, so that's 2x. 8x minus 12 is a negative 4x. And then 8 minus nothing is going to be positive 8. All right, so let's go ahead and do it all over again. X squared goes into 2x squared. That's going to be a positive 2 times. 2 times 2x squared is going to be a 2x squared. 2 times negative 4 is going to be a negative 4x. And 2 times 4 is going to be a positive 8. Okay, so then you can subtract, and you can see we get 0. So my remaining zeros here, so that's 0, 1, and number 1. That's in the other 0. And then I could also say x equals, we could say x equals a, let's see, that's going to be, subtract 2, so it'd be a negative 2/3. There you go. There's your 3 zeros. What is going on? Oh, Brightside, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Screen equals, oh, thank you guys. Duh. I just caught into the chats. Sorry about that. Hello, duh. All right, let's go ahead and get into that. Thank you guys. Hey, we can't see the screen. Thank you, Christy, for on that. Yeah, embarrassing. All right. So let's go through that problem again. That was kind of annoying. Hey, what do you know? Some people came back to the stream. I was joining onto there. And thank you so much, Charlie. I appreciate that. And Chrissy, I appreciate this. That's one way to get my attention. Not what I was attending. Thank you so much for the venom. All right, so let's go through this problem now that you guys can see it, that I was just hanging out by myself teaching math. Okay, all right, so problem for the textbook is, as you guys can see, they're given a 0, right? Equals x. And I'm just going to have to go through this again because I'm a teacher and that's what I enjoy doing. So what we know is, if that's a 0, right? First thing we want to do is we can set it equal to x. That'd be the 0, like, solutions x equals, right? So that's your 0, your solution. And what we're going to do now is get everything over on this side so it's that equal to 0. Now that is going to be our factored form. Okay, because our factors can multiply, our factors we can multiply by each other. So that means that's a factor. Well, since these are imaginary numbers, we have a complex conjugate. So if we have 1 minus square root of 3i, then we also have 1 plus the square root of 3i. So therefore that's another 0. Well, obviously the only difference here is one's positive, one's negative. So therefore, if this is a factor, then we could say that, just do the complex conjugate. That means that's a factor. So now if these are two factors, then we can multiply them. So that's why I wrote x minus 1 plus square root of 3i times x minus 1 minus the square root of 3i. All right. And then from there, what we're doing is now you could say, oh, that's the a plus b, that's the a minus b. Okay. So a plus b, a minus b, and then there's where I get the difference of two squares. Then I expanded it to there, I squared, that's going to be a plus 3. Combine my like terms, that's how I got the x squared minus 2x plus 4. Now I did my long division. And, x squared goes in 3x cubed, 3x times x squared is 3x cubed, 3x times negative 2x is a negative 6x squared, 3x times 4 is a 12x. Subtract the rows. I get a 2x squared minus 4x plus 8. And then I do it all over again. X squared goes into 2x squared 2 times. Multiply everything again, and you get a remainder of 0. Whew. Well, thank you. Not for that embarrassing last mention, but I appreciate it. Legit thought he was going to put us in timeout. Okay. So now let's get into the next question. So that was a long one. Let me know if you have any questions for my snafu on that one, but hopefully that was helpful. All right. I don't know who gave me this question or why, but I guess we'll do it. So in this one, it's just an inequality. So we're going to want to solve the inequality in graph. So the first thing we're going to want to do is get rid of the parentheses. All right. So 1/2 times -12, that's going to be a +6. I don't know why I'm writing a plus sign. Don't do that. Just write a +6. And then -1/2 times a 4x, that's going to be a -2x. And then we'll have a +23 is less than or equal to, let's see here, a 28 minus x plus 3. Okay, so notice how I just distributed there. Now I don't have parentheses. Now I can just, from here, now what I can do is just combine my like terms, right? So in this case, I can combine 6 plus 23. It's going to be a 29 is less than or equal to, and then in this case, we'd have a -x plus 31. Doesn't really matter how you write it. I always like to get the x's, I always like to make the x's positive. For me, it's just easier that way than remembering to, flip the sign when you multiply or divide. And then that becomes a x plus a 31. So minus a 31, minus 31. So that's a 2 is less than or equal to x, right? Which is the same thing as x is greater than or equal to 2, right? So you can just write it the exact same way. Then we can just create a number line. Here's 2, 1, 3, right? So it's greater than or equal to. So fill it in. And that'll be all numbers here going to the right. Okay. Yes, and again, thanks so much, Kirsty. If you, again, as I mentioned, if you need to time out, you can do that. Why is that not showing up? You're very welcome, Caroline. All right, next question. This was an interesting question. So given f(x) equals 4x squared minus 3x, give the graph g of x, be a translation 2 units to the left and 4 units down. Write a rule for g of x in the terms of x. You may use the space. Okay, so obviously this was like from an online test or something. So I'm not sure if this is the best way to do this problem. The immediately only way that I understood or I could think about doing this was to write it in vertex form. Which would then be completing the square, which is not going to be very nice at all. But I didn't know of anything else. I couldn't, nothing else came up to my mind of how you can understand the transformations of moving left and right, or moving left and down. So therefore, I'm just going to use the transformations. So b divided by 2 squared. So if I had a -3/4, that doesn't really matter if it's negative or positive, but whatever. Divided by 2 squared, right? So divided by 2 is the same thing as multiplying by 1/2. So that'd be a 3/8 squared, which is going to be a 9/64. Okay, so that's basically a 4 times a x squared minus a 3/4, x, plus a 9/64. I always hate when that does that. And then minus a 9/64. But again, remember, you're not really adding a 9/64 inside the parentheses. You're subtracting, or you're adding 9. You're subtracting 9/64. That's being multiplied by 4. So I also need to multiply that by 4. So that would be reduced to, that'd be 32. So that'd be 16. 9/16. Right. So that can simplify to 1/16. Okay. So now I can reduce this to what, a 3/8. So I can factor this down. That's an x there. So this can be rewritten as an x minus a 3/8. And again, you can check my work here because 3/8 times 3/8 is 9/16. 3/8 plus 3/8 is 6/8, which would be 3/4. So that's quantity squared. And then that's going to be a minus a 1/16. So there you go. That's the factored form. So then basically their question was the fact is being translated 2 units to the left. So therefore, we're going to be going 2 more units to the left and then 4 more units down. So this would be 4 times a x minus 3/8. Let's see, we're going to subtract that, right? Because that's kind of going into that negative direction. So that's going to be 2 units. So rather than subtracting 2, I could do a 16/8, right? Because isn't 16 over 8 the same thing as 2? It is. And then minus a 1 over 16. And then what am I going down 4 units? So yeah, so I'll do minus 4. But again, I want this to be in base 16. So that'd be, what, 32, 64? 64 over 16, right? Because isn't 64 over 16 4? And it is. All right, so the answer to this question is 4 times x minus a 19/8 quantity squared minus a 65 over 16. A lot of math. Hopefully I did all that right. If I didn't, let me know. So you can just go ahead and check in the chat. You'll see there's a Discord. You can also put into your questions for Brian McLogan Q&A. But again, I have a lot of questions here for tonight, so I'm not sure if I'm going to get to anything tonight, but you can definitely go to Discord and get logged into that as well. All right, let's get into the next question, which is the graph the image of the polygon after a reflection in the line y equals a negative x. Okay, so y equals negative x is this line, right? Okay, so the important thing here is let's just pick out a number. Let's just pick out a random number. So if I did let's do a 3, 1, right? 3, 1. Now, if I was to flip this point, right? So if I was to flip this about this origin, what you can see here is that'd probably be right around in there, right? If you were to flip that around, it looks like that's like an even direction. So let's see what this is. This is going to be a -1, -3. So if this is xy, what is this? Well, this is going to be a -y, -x. All right, so that's basically the kind of rule here that we have, right? So just kind of understand the general reflection here, and that's where we can go. So what we're going to do is I'm going to write down these components. So I'll say A is what? -1, 2, 3, -3, 2. Let's see, D is going to be -1, 2, 3, 4, -1. Let's see, C is going to be a -2, -2. And then B is going to be 1, -1. Okay, so now our new image here is going to be A prime. So we're going to swap and negate. So that's going to be -2, 3. D prime is going to be a +1, 4. C prime is going to be 2, 2. And B prime is going to be a 1, -1. Okay, so now let's just go ahead and plot those points. So I have -2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Call that A prime. D is going to be a 1, 4, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. D prime. We have C prime is going to be 2, 2, so 1, 2. And then we B, which is going to be 1, -1. Uh-oh, that's not right. That should be a +1. So that should be 1, 1. Wait, no, what? How is it not equal? What is this point? 1, -1. So that should be a +1, +1. Why is that not that? What the heck is going on there? All right, so let's look at, so I have A. That point should be, why is that? That's so weird. That point, what is going on? That's so weird. Do. That's your C prime. No. Oh, crap. Okay. What am I missing? That's your C. That should be down 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's okay. It goes through the point. There you go. Gotcha. I just drew my line wrong. Okay, yeah, we're good. So that should have been a 1. Yeah, -1. I had it right. Okay, I just had my line wrong. All right, cool. Justin, you can, but again, I'm doing a lot of math, so you can also go to brianmclogan.com/Q&A. That's another way you can post questions. No, Daniel. So the question was, what have I changed? And the way that I've changed is nothing has changed. Absolutely nothing. So I'm still going live. I'm still going to be answering your guys' questions. 1 million subscribers does not mean anything to me or what I want to do with my channel. I want to continue to grow my channel and continue helping you guys out with your math. So no, that is not the clickbait of the purpose. The reality is 1 million subscribers is, not making a dent in what I want to do for this channel. So that is the reason why I titled it the way I titled it. This one, all right, exercise 51 through 56, not going to do all those. So again, this is just composition. So again, if I have f of g of x, what that really means is f of g of x. Okay, if I have f of g of 2, what that means is f of g of 2. Okay, so usually most students understand what g of 2 is, right? If they say, all right, so g of x is x plus 7, right? So then g of 2 would be a 2 plus 7, right? And you're like, okay, yeah. So then if we say 2 plus 7, well, that's equal to 9. So then if we know g of 2 is equal to 9, then we could say f of 9. Well, then what do we do with f of 9? Well, you just plug 9 in for f, right? Or for x, I'm sorry. So then that's a 2 times 9, which is equal to an 18. Done. So then what about if it's f of g of x? So that's an interesting one, because do we know what g of x is? Yeah, we know g of x. That's x plus 7. So that's really the same thing as an x plus 7. So rather than just replacing, rather than just using x, we can use an x plus 7. So we could say a x plus 7. Oops, I'm sorry. We could say a 2 times a x plus 7. And then go ahead and distribute. And that equals a 2x plus 14. Voila. Well, yes, Daniel, I'm not sure when you got into the stream, but I did talk about it at the beginning, and that was kind of my point that I wanted to make. So I didn't really, there wasn't, I mean, there's obviously not a whole lot to talk about, but yeah, I mean, I usually in all my streams always have that 15, 20 minutes, but yeah, I did talk in the beginning for like 20 minutes, just answer some questions, and probably the first 10 minutes, I kind of talked about it a little bit more in depth. So you can always go back to the stream to go from there. All right, determine the equation of the straight line passing through. Determine the equation of the straight line passing through the point negative 1, 2 parallel to lines. All right, so the first thing we need to do is find the slope, right? So find the slope. So 6x plus 3y equals a negative 10. Usually the easiest thing for most students would be just to convert this into slope-intercept form. So therefore they can see it. Why is this doing? Come on, I thought this. Let's see if, hold on. There you go, okay. And then you can divide by 3, so we could say y equals a negative 2x minus a 10/3. Okay, so we could say m equals a negative 2. So that's your slope. Then it needs to go through a point, which is xy. So you could use slope-intercept form. I would recommend using point-slope form. So we could say y minus y1 equals m times a x minus x1. Okay, so x1 and y1 are going to be the given points that you were given, where y and x represent any numbers. So I could say y minus a negative 2 equals my slope, negative 2, times x minus x1, which is a negative 1. Okay, so y minus 2 is going to be y plus 2 equals a negative 2 times x plus 1. All right, so we could say that would be the equation. If you want to put in slope-intercept form, then just do a little distributive property. And then minus the 2. Okay, so y equals a negative 2x minus 4. Voila. Well, thank you so much, Inu. Yes, Evan, I'm doing questions that were pre-submitted from my last stream or link, so you guys can see inside the chat. I have a pinned comment, Brian McLogan /Q&A. You can submit your questions there, or you can also post questions on Discord and get help. Well, so much happy. Thank you, Arsenal. Maybe, hopefully. And most likely probably going to do some questions tonight. We'll see. I still got quite a bit of questions to get through tonight. But I'll try to, you know, every live stream, guys, I'm always doing 10 or 20 questions. So I'm usually up here in an hour doing some math stuff for you guys. All right. Next one. I know it's kind of a little fuzzy, so I apologize for that. But so this one says find the product. So, So I'll rewrite it out for those of you that have a hard time because it's even fuzzier for me. Oh, that's a Q, right? Okay, times a 3p squared minus 4 thirds Q. Okay, so this is just good old distributive property. So 3p squared times 3p squared is going to be 9p to the 4th. 3p squared times a 4/3 q is going to be a, let's see, the 3's will divide out, so that's going to be negative 4 p squared q. 1/9 q times a 3p squared. So that's going to be reduced to a positive 1/3, right? 3 over 9 would be reduced to 1/3 q p squared. And then we have a 1/9 times a 1/9 q times a 4/3 q. So that'd be 9 times 3 is going to be a 27. So that'd be a negative 4 27ths q. All right. And then all I got to do is add a negative 4 plus 1/3, right? Because these have the same, right? Q and p squared. So what I can do is I can multiply, put that as a over 1, multiply 3 over 3. So that's the same thing as a negative 12 over 3 plus a 1/3. So that's going to be a negative 11/3. So my final answer is a 9p to the 4th minus 11/3, let's say p squared q, minus a 4 over 27 q. All right, this next one, I'm not sure what the question, I can't remember which student, I should have known which question they were asking. Let's just do this one because I guess this one would be the hardest one, I guess. Well, so all you got to do from here is, you guys just got to know x squared plus y squared equals r squared. Okay, so, and if the center is not at the origin, then you could do x minus h quantity squared plus y minus k quantity squared equals r squared. Okay, so an equation for a circle with a center 0, 0 and a radius is 8. Well, obviously, if the radius is 8, then you got to square it. So therefore, the answer is here. The endpoints, well, again, guys, if you have a circle and you have endpoints, then the midpoint, right, is going to be the center, right? If you have 2 points here, then the midpoint is going to be the center. So in this case, negative 3 plus 5 is going to be a 2. 2 divided by 1 is going, or 2 divided by 2 is going to be 1. So I kind of already know the answers there. And then this one you can also check, would be 4, so it works. And then the last one is if the point negative 4, 5 lies on the circle, so negative 4 less 5, let's just say that, and the center's at 0, 0, then find the equation of the circle. So negative 4, 5. Okay, so basically we need to figure out the radius. Well, good question. Because if this is negative 4 and that's 5, then you got to use the Pythagorean theorem, right, to find your radius. So let's see, what 16 plus 25 is going to be 41, right? So that's going to be, remember, that's the hypotenuse squared, so that's D. Next one. So this one says on a set of axes below, actually I got to start moving through these questions quickly, so apologize for that. On a set of axes below, graph the piecewise function. So I think the student was asking, they're taking algebra 1, they're like, what are piecewise functions? So all piecewise function, guys, is just 2 functions on the same graph. So I have fx equals negative 1/2 x, right? And then I have fx equals x. So let's just graph both these. Okay, so this is going to be down 1 over 2. Okay, and then the one is f of y equals x, so that's going to be up 1 over 1, right? So graph looks like this. Okay, so there's the 2 graphs. So what a piecewise function is a combination of those 2 graphs. So here's the problem. If you're going to combine these 2 graphs on the same set of axes, right? So you have down 1 over 2, you have that person, you have this graph, and you have the up 1 over 1 graph. Well, do you guys have a problem here if we call this a function? Yeah, because this function doesn't pass the vertical line test anymore, right? So we have an issue. So now what we need to do is, I'll use some different colors here. We need to use our what we call restrictions. So this one says x has to be less than 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to 2 and we're going to say it's only true for x is less than 2. So this graph is only true here. So we're going to say from here to there is when the graph is true. So everything else I'm going to delete. Okay, now this graph is only true for x is greater than or equal to 2. So let's see, 2, 2 is greater than or equal to is filled in. So that'd be from there to there. What are you doing? Okay, so therefore, if here, this 2 greater than or equal to is going to be from there to there. So then everything else I can delete. So now, what do you guys notice? Not there. Don't do that. But now do you guys see how this graph would pass the vertical line test, right? It's an open circle down here. It's filled in there. But now that passes a vertical line test. So that one is good. All right. Students here, I'm an online school. My pre-calc teacher only has class once a week. The other day he just has open runs. What do you think about that? I don't know why I added this on here. Student here, I'm an online school and my pre-calc teacher only has class one day a week. Well, that's probably a big class, right? And the other days he just has open rooms. I mean, I think it's good that he's available, hopefully that you guys can get questions, everything else. I do not like doing math once a week. I think you should be doing math every day. So I understand the course, could be once a week. That's fine. It's probably a 3-hour class or something like that. I think for most students that I have found, they need math more regular to really make the connections. So it looks like he has that availability, but again, you have to take a little bit more proactive approach there. So could be good for some students, not good for others. Find the center and the radius of the circle with the given equation. Completing the square. Why do you guys make me do so much completing the square? All right, so in this case, what we're going to do is group the x's, group the y's. So 10x plus 10x. Okay, I don't know why I'm doing this, why I wrote it like that, why am I erasing all this, but whatever. Okay, so we have a x squared plus 10x, and then it already has a group, but I'm just going to rewrite it. Y squared minus 8y, and then I'm going to put the 128 to the other side. All right, now we need to complete the square here. So we're going to do 10 divided by 2 squared, which equals 25, negative 8 divided by 2 squared, which is equal to 16. Okay, so now we have a x squared plus 10x. Let's see, add 25, right? And then plus a y squared minus 8y plus 16 equals a 128. All right, so if I added 25 on the left-hand side, I got to add 25 on the right-hand side. And then if I add a 16 on the left-hand side, I need to add a 16 to the right-hand side. So add a 16 to there. All right, so this can be factored into an x plus 5 quantity squared. X plus 5 quantity squared, and then this can be do a y minus 4 quantity squared, and then let's see what this is going to be, 25, so that'd be 153, so that's going to be 169. Okay, so my center is going to be at negative 5, 4, and my radius is going to be 13. Right, because remember this is r squared, so the square root of 169 should be 13. All right, this one says 1 minus I cubed. I'm having trouble distributing into a plus bi form. All right, so 1 minus I cubed means 1 minus I times 1 minus I times 1 minus I, right? So let's multiply two of these here. So again, just multiplying straight across or distribute it, factorial, whatever. So I have 1 squared, which is 1. Then I have a negative I minus I, and this is going to be a minus a I squared. Okay, and again, guys, remember that is going to be a positive 1, right? So this is 1 minus a 2i, and this is really plus 1. And that's going to be 1 minus I, and then this can combine again to a 2 minus 2i. All right, and that's times a 1 minus I. All right, let's do it all over. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times I is going to be a negative 2i. Negative 2i times 1 is a negative 2i. And then negative 2i times a negative I is going to be a positive 2i squared. And I did that one correctly, didn't I? Dang it, I didn't. Crap. That's a negative I times negative I should have been a positive I squared. So that should have been a negative 1. Crap. And if that's a negative 1, then it should have been a negative 2i. Did anybody catch that mistake? Anybody? Anybody? I'm not seeing it. Come on, guys. Maybe nobody's paying attention. I don't know. Whatever. Okay. So therefore, this actually becomes a negative 2i times a 1 minus I. And then I'll go ahead and distribute, and that's a negative 2i. And then now this is going to be a positive, a 2i squared. Well, I squared again is negative 1, guys. So this is a negative 2i minus plus a 2 times negative 1. So it's a negative 2 minus a 2i, which is now in the form of a plus bi. Can you cross asymptotes? Yes. For horizontal. No for vertical. Okay. Vertical are going to be discontinuities in a graph, so they don't work. I'm not really sure if I understood this question fully. Cosine of what equals negative cosine of 60 degrees? So I'm not really understanding this, but let's go to negative 60 degrees. Right, now again, this is the even odd function, I guess. Right, maybe. Because negative cosine of, negative cosine of theta equals the cosine of theta. And I'll show you that in here in just a second. So negative cosine of 60, so whatever minus that, cosine of 60 degrees, again, that's going to be square root of 3 over 2. No, that's going to be a 1/2. Okay, so that's equal to a negative 1/2, right? But again, so whatever, like if you look at this point here, like that's 1/2 comma square root of 3 over 2, right? So it's equal to 1/2, but then you're minusing by negative because it's a negative cosine 60. But again, if you notice this, these are called even odd functions. On the unit circle, that's going to have the same coordinate point, right? So this point is a 1/2. Why am I doing negative? That's a negative. Positive square root of 3 over 2, right? But the cosine, which is the x-coordinate, is going to be the same. So that's a 60 degrees. And again, if you just know the even odd functions, you're good. I need to take a break. Well, Maisel, hopefully we'll get to your question. I need to stand up. All right. Two different things. Please explain number systems. Well, submit your question, and I'll be more than happy to get to that. Do you solve quadratic equations by factoring? I can. Just submit your questions. Again, if you have questions, you can go to brianmclogan.com/Q&A, or you can go ahead and check onto the Discord server. All right. We still have quite a bit of questions. So I'm not sure how much open Q&A I'll be able to get for you guys. I definitely did talk a lot, much more at the beginning, but that's okay. We'll get to some of these questions. Well, I'll finish. I'm definitely going to finish everything that was submitted previously. I'll see how many people submitted. I just want to take a break. So many people submitted already since we've been live. At least on there, 7. So, okay, some more questions. Sorry, guys. I'm not going to be able to get to them tonight. But I'm about to get to. Well, thank you so much. A little bit, but I got to go back through my calculus curriculum before I'm much better for those, but I'll get to it. All things mathematics. I'll have to go and check that out. I'm not sure if I'm aware of that channel. I am now standing, so I usually do sit. I have like a little bench chair, but now I do have a standing desk from there. All right, good night, Christy. Thank you so much. Okay, let's go ahead and finish the question. So the next one, I don't know why I'm in red. Let's go into blue. Okay, so this one, simplify. All right, so all we need to do, so the main thing, guys, you want to do is you want to rewrite 81 as a, 81 as a exponent. Now there's many different exponents that you could rewrite them. I'd try to rewrite something that I could reduce with the 4 since that's in the denominator. So immediately when I look at this and I say, the only thing I can really see with 81 is I know I can rewrite that as a 9 squared, right? That'd be to the 1/4 power. Then using the rows of exponents, I could do a 2 times 1/4, right? And so therefore there'd be a 9 to the 2/4, which is equal to a 9 to the 1/2, which is the same thing as the square root of 9, which is equal to 3. Pre-calculus. I'm not writing a proof, but my brain is already starting to hurt. For Ferris wheel, we instruct that each cart will be placed at a pi over 6 radian. If there are 10 carts, is this enough? So let's go and take a look at that. And I already know the answer is no, because if you think about pi over 6, right? Think of pi over 6. Pi thirds. So 1 pi over 6, 2 pi over 6, 3 pi over 6, right? That's the same thing as pi halves, right? There's pi over 6. And so then you could go 4 pi over 6, 5 pi over 6, 6 pi over 6, because we know that it has to halfway around the circle has to be pi, right? Pi or 6 pi over 6. Well, so then if you have somebody at each one of these, well, actually, never mind, because you're going to have a couple that are going to be duplicated, right? So And then we could have 7, because I was thinking it would be 12 pi over 6, but there's actually 2 that are duplicated, right? So let's see. Let's just count them up. So we'd have, let's count the first one. So let's do this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, definitely not close. From there, it doesn't work. And the so you did ask for what was my class average for grade. So for typically I would have like C averages in grades. So a lot of people would, even though I have all these videos and everything else, and I had tutoring every day, it was open, but usually I still had like C averages. I mean, obviously when I had like a really top level class, they would, have like a B, a low B average, but most of my classes were C, and that's for like pre-calculus, that's for honors kind of classes. It was still a C. And then, for like more standard classes be like low C, high D, kind of averages. So, I mean, it was, my class was not a cakewalk, for sure. Not a problem, but I wanted to desperately know if calculus and discrete math is one semester is a doable thing. Again, it just depends on who you are, right? If you're capable of doing it. So, and I think yes, the answer is, but it's not for everybody. So, I think as long as if you have the foundation for math, then yeah, you should be fine. But if not, just kind of have a good foundation where you think you are at. All right. I'm really good at the unit circle. Who has that? How did you get good at the unit circle? Good question. Oh, he's asking me if I didn't. Yeah, definitely say get a good at unit circle. Just know the first quadrant. That's all you need to know. That's a good question. A is what students struggle with math, geometry. Yeah, I'd definitely say proofs for sure. All right, so this question. So this one I'm actually going to probably steal and add to, probably do my TikTok, but we'll probably go ahead and see going from here. So it says if a squared plus c squared equals 1 and c squared plus d squared, okay, equals 2. So we have 4 variables, 2 equations. Then the value of a squared plus bd squared plus a is, well, the only thing I can think of here is I can't find the value of a and b. I could use substitution, but that's not really going to help me out because that's going to be squared. So if I need them to be substitution, though, I'm going to need these to be squared. So let's multiply these out. So I could say AC. So let's multiply this out. So if I had AC plus BD, well, squared just means AC plus BD is times AC plus BD, right? So therefore, that's going to be a squared, C squared. That's going to be plus a AC BD, and that'd be plus a, let's see, an AC BD, and then be a plus a B squared D squared. Okay, let's actually move this over, see if I have enough room. Hopefully I do. Okay, and then that's going to be plus, then I have this one, which is a AD minus ABC, quantity squared. Okay, so times a AD minus the BC. All right, so again, this one is going to be a squared D squared, right? So if I multiply those two, and then it's going to be a minus a DBC minus a AD, oh crap, that looks bad, an ADBC, and then this is going to be a plus a B squared C squared. All right, so I noticed that these are just all multiplied, right? These are all the same. So 2 positive, 2 negatives, so cancel those out. Cancel them, add 0. And then I'm probably going to want to factor these out, so I'll do a squared C squared, and then I'll say a plus a squared D squared. And then this one, I'll group these together, so it'd be plus a B squared D squared plus a B squared C squared. Okay, so now I can factor out a squared, right? So now I can factor by grouping. So I'll factor out the a squared. That's going to leave me with a C squared plus D squared. Here I can factor out a B squared. That's going to leave me with a D squared plus C squared. Then let's see, I can factor out the C squared and the D squared. So C squared plus D squared times a squared plus B squared. Well, guess what? Does it work? C plus the square equals 2 times a 1, which is 2. Whew. All right. Yeah. Yes, seriously, tell me about it. All right, I gotta go to bed. If you asked to write the quadratic function of something, could you write y instead of f(x), or is it necessary to? No, it doesn't matter. So again, a lot of times it just depends on like how we, for instance, we're used to like this, right? X-y axis. But if we wanted to graph a function, then we just use the f(x) and the f(x) axis. So it's the same thing. It's just whatever's your input, whatever's your output, right? So this is our dependent variable, independent variable, dependent, independent. So it just depends. It's just different names, right? Sally and Susan, different names, different notation, right? But same meaning, same understanding. All right. So for this one, thank you, Mark, for submitting a ton of questions. I'm tired, but I wasn't going to plan on doing all of them, but I'll just help you out with some of these. So when you want to convert from degrees to radians, all you simply need to do is multiply by degrees to radians. Degrees to radians, you're going to multiply by pi. So when you want to go to degrees to radians, you're going to multiply by pi over 180. There you go, 180 degrees. All right, so let's do this one. So if I had 330 degrees times a pi over 180. Okay, so now we can just kind of simplify this and take the zeros. I'm not seeing anything that with 330, that'd go to 30. 10. Oh yeah, you could do your 3. Yeah, duh. So you could do a 3 into both of those. So that'd be 11 pi over 6. So in radians, this would be 11 pi over 6. Okay. It's already in degrees. That's kind of funny. If you want to go to, so degrees to radians, it just looks like this. If you want to go to radians to degrees, then you do 180 degrees over pi. All right. Find the angle that is coterminal. Daria, I will be take a look on my channel for this week. I'll be having some stuff going up. Okay. So I don't have the exact details, but I will be doing something for you guys this week or coming up. All right. So let's see, find the angle of 0 and 360 if in degrees or between 0 and, so to find coterminal angles, just add and subtract plus or minus 2 pi in radians or plus or minus 360. Okay. So in this case, if I had a 13 pi over 2 and I want to find a radian between 0 and 2, you can just subtract 2 pi, which would be a 4 pi over 2. So when I do that, I get a 9 pi over 2. Is that between 0 and 2 pi? Nope. So guess what? Going to keep on subtracting a 4 pi over 2. That gives me a 5 pi over 2. Is that between 0 and 2 pi? Nope. So subtract a 4 pi over 2 again. So you can just keep on adding or subtracting 2 pi as many times as you need, and that becomes a 1 pi over 2. So that'd be pi over 2. There you go. The domain is just kind of knowing your restrictions on your function. So remember the two functions looks like you have is you can't divide by 0. And you can't take the square root of a negative number, right? So in this case, I can take the cube root of any number, positive or negative, but I can't take the square root of a negative number. So this domain is going to be from 0 to infinity. Okay. This function has no restrictions, right? We're not dividing by a negative number, taking the square root of a negative number. So this one is all real numbers. Now this function, I don't know what's going to make the denominator equal to 0. So let's go ahead and factor out the denominator. Let's see, that'd be x minus 5 times x plus 3. Yes, no, yes. And so you can see that the two values that make the denominator 0 is x cannot equal 5 and x cannot equal a negative 3. So my domain in this case would be from negative infinity to a negative 3, union negative 3 to 5, union 5 to infinity. And again, that's just a fancy way of saying all real numbers except 5 and negative 3. Actually, I'm not really sure what this question was all about. So this is my last question. I think it is. Okay. So theta is an angle in standard position of 0 degrees to 360. So a trigonometric ratio is given. Determine the exact values of the other primary trigonometric. Oh, okay. I see. I gotcha. Okay. So we have an angle theta. So we have negative 1 over 4. Gotcha. So negative 1. Right. So the ratio, remember sine. So sine of an angle is opposite over hypotenuse, right? So I did this one wrong. So -1/4 is going to be a -1/4. So sine is the opposite side is a -1, right? Okay, so it could be like this or it could be like that. You might be, well, which one of these is the correct one? -1/4, -1/4, right? But if you were to think about this, the reason why it's sine is -1/4. Actually, why should I know this answer? I do know this answer. Now my brain hurts. Oh, Julian, I'll have to answer this question. So some of you are jumping in. How did my life change? It didn't change at all. I'm staying up, as somebody mentioned. I'm up here at 10:15 doing my questions. It's the same, guys. I'm looking forward to, the only thing that changed is it put in a new perspective of the type of math and the work that I want to do to be able to help you guys out. So that is definitely something I'm going to be working on to, improve, help your math with you guys. So that is, it didn't change my mission, and it just really revigorated me to be able to continue making math videos for you guys. All right, so in this one, opposite over hypotenuse. I don't think we know that. I don't think we know which one. We don't have enough information. So of the other primary trigonometric ratios. Yeah, we don't have enough information. Oh, well, okay. So yeah, we don't have enough information. So I don't know what this is. So that's a good question, because you should typically, when we do these questions, we are given like another function or another restriction here. Right? But in this case, the teacher did not provide that. So I guess, what we could do is let's just pretend if it was a angle in space. So right now there's not enough information for us to determine if that's a positive or a negative. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, all right, well then that's a -1 and that's a 4. Let's use the Pythagorean theorem and figure out this space, and we'll do the positive version, because we don't know if we don't have enough information for that too. So let's just call this x then. So if I -1 squared plus x squared equals a 4 squared. So that's going to be 1 plus x squared equals 16. X squared equals a 15. Right? So x equals the square root of 15. And again, that's a plus or minus, right? So plus 15 would be over here, and the minus, the square root of 15, would be over here, right? So we don't know which one is going to be which. So in this, if we were just using it in space, we'd just say the positive version. So that's going to be the square root of 15. And then you can go from your trigonometric ratios from there, right? Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine of theta is going to be adjacent over hypotenuse. And then tangent of theta equals opposite over hypotenuse. Or opposite over adjacent, sorry. All right, and then it doesn't say what the values of the other two primary. Okay, so cosine tangent. Then you just go from there. Whew. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me on the stream tonight, and I wish you guys all a great rest of your week. And yeah, hopefully, if you guys got exams coming up, that will be you best of luck. All right, guys. Cheers.